Most people are more afraid of space than the ocean. And honestly, that makes complete sense. Space is cold, infinite, and completely indifferent to your existence. But here's the thing, we've mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have of our own ocean floor. We have sent humans to the moon 6 times. We have never sent a human to the deepest point of our own planet. And when we finally did send a submersible down there, what we found was so disturbing that scientists genuinely debated whether to publish it. So today, we are counting down the 10 dark realities of the deep ocean. And I promise you, by number 1, you will never look at the beach the same way again. Number 10. The ocean is mostly unknown. Let's start with the uncomfortable foundation that everything else on this list sits on. Humans have explored approximately 20% of the ocean floor. That means 80% of our own planet. Right here, not in a galaxy far away, not on some distant moon, is completely unknown to us. To put that in perspective, we have better maps of the surface of Venus, a planet 162 million kilometers away, than we do of the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Now, I want you to really sit with that for a second. We built the James Webb Space Telescope to photograph galaxies 13 billion light-years away. And we still don't know what's at the bottom of our own backyard. Scientists estimate that there could be anywhere between 700,000 and 1 million species living in the deep ocean that we have never identified, named, or even seen. Which means right now, as you watch this, there are potentially hundreds of thousands of creatures living beneath the ocean's surface that no human being has ever laid eyes on. But don't worry, I'm sure they're all friendly. Number 9. The pressure will destroy you instantly. The deepest point on Earth is called the Challenger Deep, sitting at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, approximately 11 kilometers below the surface. The pressure down there is around 1,086 bars. For those of you who don't speak science, that is roughly 1,000 times the atmospheric pressure you are experiencing right now just sitting in your chair. What does that actually mean for a human body? Your lungs would collapse. Your sinuses would implode. The nitrogen in your blood would compress so violently it would essentially crystallize inside your veins. You would not slowly sink to the bottom. You would be destroyed almost immediately, like a can being crushed under a boot, except the can is you, and the boot is the entire weight of the ocean. But the really dark part? It wouldn't even take long. You'd be gone before you even knew you were gone. Scientists describe it as less painful than it sounds, which is the least comforting thing anyone has ever said. Number 8. There are mountains down there taller than Everest. Most people picture the ocean floor as a flat, sandy desert. It is not. The ocean floor has mountain ranges, volcanoes, canyons, and plains that dwarf anything on the surface of the Earth. The mid-ocean ridge, the underwater mountain chain that runs across the entire globe, is 65,000 kilometers long. For comparison, the circumference of the entire Earth is 40,000 kilometers. So the underwater mountain chain is longer than the planet it's on. The tallest underwater mountain, Mauna Kea in Hawaii, measures over 10,000 meters from its base to its peak, making it technically taller than Mount Everest. It just happens to be mostly underwater, so nobody cares. And the deepest underwater canyon, the Monterey Canyon off the coast of California, is deeper and wider than the Grand Canyon. An entire Grand Canyon, just sitting underwater where nobody can see it. The ocean isn't just deep. It is a completely separate world with its own geography, its own weather systems, and its own rules. And we know almost none of it. Number 7. The creatures that live there look like nightmares. Now, I want to be fair here. Not every deep-sea creature is terrifying. Some of them are quite genuinely beautiful. But then there's the other ones. The barrel-eye fish has a completely transparent head, so you can see straight through its skull to its rotating tubular eyes inside. The anglerfish, which you probably know from Finding Nemo, uses a bioluminescent lure attached to its head to attract prey in complete darkness, and then swallows them with teeth so large it literally cannot close its mouth. The siphonophore is a creature that can grow up to 47 meters long, longer than a blue whale, and it is not actually a single animal. It is a colony of thousands of smaller organisms that have merged together into one long, flowing, terrifying entity. And my personal favorite, the fangtooth fish, which has the largest teeth of any fish relative to body size on the planet. If humans had fangtooth proportions, our teeth would be the size of our forearms. You're welcome for that image. Number 6. The ocean creates its own weather. Here's something your geography teacher probably didn't tell you. The ocean doesn't just respond to weather, it creates it. The deep ocean drives a global circulation system called the thermohaline circulation, sometimes called the ocean conveyor belt. This system moves warm and cold water around the entire planet, regulating temperature, distributing nutrients, and directly controlling the climate of every continent on Earth. Without it, northern Europe would be as cold as northern Canada. The Amazon rainforest would lose the moisture it needs to survive. Entire agricultural systems would collapse. Now here's the dark part. This conveyor belt has shut down before. During a period called the Younger Dryas, approximately 12,000 years ago, the circulation system collapsed, and the Earth was plunged back into Ice Age conditions within decades. Not centuries, not millennia, decades. And according to a 2021 study published in Nature Climate Science, the conveyor belt is currently at its weakest point in over 1,000 years. Nobody is panicking yet, but nobody is not panicking either. Number 5. The sound down there is unexplainable. In 1997, NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, deployed underwater microphones across the Pacific Ocean to monitor seismic activity. What they picked up instead was an ultra-low frequency sound so powerful it was detected by sensors more than 5,000 kilometers apart. They called it the bloop. It was louder than anything ever recorded in the ocean. Louder than blue whale calls. Louder than underwater volcanic eruptions. Scientists eventually concluded it was most likely caused by a large icequake, a massive piece of Antarctic ice fracturing. Most scientists accept this explanation. But here's the thing, the sound signature of the bloop does not perfectly match known icequake patterns. And it was never recorded again. Now, I'm not saying it was a giant sea creature. What I'm saying is, something in the deep ocean made a sound loud enough to be heard across an entire ocean basin. And the best explanation we have is probably ice. The ocean is 11 kilometers deep in places we've never visited. And it is making noises we cannot fully explain. But I'm sure it's fine. Number 4. There are lakes and rivers inside the ocean. This is the part where the ocean stops making sense. On the floor of the Gulf of Mexico, there are pools of water sitting inside the ocean that have their own shorelines, their own waves, and their own currents. These are called brine pools. They form when ancient salt deposits dissolve and create water so dense and so salty that it sits separately from the surrounding ocean water like a liquid inside a liquid. The brine pools are also anoxic, meaning they contain almost no oxygen, which makes them instantly lethal to most marine life. Crabs and fish that wander too close are killed almost immediately and preserved in the dense brine, creating the appearance of a graveyard surrounding the pool's edge. Scientists have named the largest known brine pool the Jacuzzi of Despair. I did not make that up. That is its actual scientific nickname, the Jacuzzi of Despair, a name given by actual oceanographers at an actual research institution, which tells you everything you need to know about how the people who study the deep ocean feel about it. Number 3. The ocean may have already killed off life before. Around 252 million years ago, during an event called the Great Dying, the largest mass extinction in Earth's history, over 96% of all marine species and 70% of all land species were wiped out. The leading cause? Ocean acidification and anoxia, meaning the ocean essentially ran out of oxygen and became toxic. The ocean absorbed so much carbon dioxide from massive volcanic eruptions that it acidified, heated, and suffocated almost every living thing inside it. The recovery took approximately 10 million years. Now, here's why this belongs on a dark reality list. Ocean acidification is currently happening again. Since the Industrial Revolution, the ocean has absorbed roughly 30% of all human-generated carbon dioxide emissions. The pH of the ocean has dropped measurably since the 1800s. Coral reefs, which support approximately 25% of all marine species, are bleaching and dying at an accelerating rate. We are not at great dying levels, not even close, but the ocean has done this before. It knows how. And last time, it took out 96% of everything living in it without blinking. Number 2. Something large is moving through the deep ocean that we cannot identify. In 2014, a research vessel deployed a deep-sea camera system off the coast of New Zealand at a depth of approximately 1,000 meters. The footage captured something moving through the water column that generated a hydrodynamic displacement signature inconsistent with any known species at that depth. The object, whatever it was, moved deliberately, changed direction twice, and then disappeared from range. NIWA, New Zealand's National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research, reviewed the footage and released a statement saying only that it was an unidentified biological entity, not a geological formation, not equipment malfunction. Biological. At 1,000 meters deep, the ocean is still relatively shallow. The Mariana Trench goes down another 10 kilometers from there. We have footage of exactly 3% of the deep ocean floor. The giant squid, a real animal that grows up to 13 meters long, was considered a myth until 2004. We know that large, undiscovered creatures exist in the deep ocean. We have confirmed it. The only question is how large they actually get. And the honest answer is we have no way of knowing. Number 1. The ocean is alive in a way we don't fully understand. Here is the dark reality that sits underneath all the others. The ocean is not just a body of water. It is the single largest living system on the planet. It produces over 50% of the oxygen you are breathing right now. It regulates the temperature of every continent. It drives the water cycle that fills every river, lake, and reservoir on Earth. Without the ocean, there is no weather. Without the ocean, there is no breathable air. Without the ocean, there is no life on this planet, not ours, not any. And we have explored 20% of it. We have named less than a third of the species living in it. We are still discovering entire ecosystems, communities of animals that have never seen sunlight, never needed it, thriving around hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor in conditions we once believed were completely incompatible with life. The scariest thing about the deep ocean is not the pressure, or the creatures, or the unexplained sounds. The scariest thing is this: the system that keeps every living thing on this planet alive is something we barely understand. And the parts we do understand, we are actively changing. The ocean has survived 5 mass extinctions. It will survive whatever comes next. The question is whether we will be here to see it. So there you have it. 10 dark realities of the deep ocean. And if this didn't make you slightly uncomfortable about the next time you go to the beach, I did my job. Drop in the comments below which one of these disturbed you the most. I'm genuinely curious whether it's the brine pool with the dead crabs around it, or the unidentified biological entity off New Zealand, because for me personally, it's the Jacuzzi of Despair. That name alone. Next week, we're going somewhere even darker, why it sucked to be a prehistoric ocean predator. And I promise you, being a megalodon was not as cool as you think it was.